He's been a chart-topping pop star with Spandau Ballet. He starred opposite his elder brother Gary in a film about the Kray twins, and more than 20 million people watched him incinerated alive in his car as EastEnders bad boy Steve Owen. Now here he is playing double-dealing lawyer Billy Flynn in the hit West End production of the musical Chicago. "I've taken over from Cuba Gooding Jr., who made him comedic. Billy is the devil," he says. "I'm making him why and slippery. He's asking those girls to sell their souls for $5,000. But he's very modern. The whole idea of people wanting to be celebrities for 5 minutes has never been more contemporary." Martin, then, is the great survivor. "I've somehow managed to keep my career going for more than 4 decades. Heaven alone knows how." When Spandau Ballet split in 1990, if someone had asked me whether I'd still be around and working today, I'd have doubted it. But I got lucky. When I ask whether he is now a singer who acts or an actor who sings, he laughs. "You know what? If I had to choose one word to cover everything I do, it would be entertainer." His good looks aren't exactly a hindrance. With that striking white hair, ice blue eyes and snake hips, he's turned himself into the ultimate silver fox. Either. How on earth does he do it? Apart from stretching exercises every day, he only goes to the gym when he isn't working. And he's 56. Damn it. Then I'll do an hour a day on a program I learned many years ago, part aerobic and part fast, light weights. I call it body management, protecting the vulnerable bits like my shoulders and knees. With my headphones on, it becomes almost like meditating, time for me and me alone. It isn't the only reason why Martin appears not to carry 1 extra pound of unwanted weight. 2 tumors removed from his brain in the mid-1990s left him with little appetite for alcohol. He might now have a couple of glasses of wine a month, he says. "It's more that I just somehow grew out of it. I don't have an aversion to it, and as soon as I stopped having the 6 o'clock glass of wine at home, I cut right back on what I was eating. That's when I lost weight." The larger tumor had been in his head for years, it turned out. When it couldn't grow any further inwards, it started growing upwards, with the result that a lump formed in Martin's skull. "And that's what my wife Shirley spotted," he says. "I'm a very lucky man. If the big one hadn't shown itself in the way it did, it wouldn't have been removed, and they wouldn't then have discovered the smaller, because that was the one that would have ate me." A lucky escape indeed. Much more dangerous one growing underneath. "After the tumors had been removed, I felt relieved, but I was in a terrible state." But Martin's troubles weren't over. "I suffered from severe bouts of depression. I felt like the shell of Martin Kemp. I just wasn't the same person." Salvation came in the most unlikely way. Close family friend George Michael was a big fan of EastEnders. So convinced was he that Martin would slot in well to the London-based soap that he rang the producers and recommended they screen test him for a major role. And I can honestly say that Steve Owen brought me back to life. He had so much confidence and charisma. It was all down to his character. He had real swagger, and I think all of that began to rub off on me. If you inhabit a role like that every day, he becomes a part of you. It's not the only reason why Martin feels such gratitude to George, or Young, as family and friends called him. It turns out he also acted as matchmaker for Martin and Shirley, a former girlfriend of Andrew Ridgeley, who, along with her friend Prevsy, was a backing singer with Wham. Recalls Martin, "I first met Shirley on Top of the Pops, and then a fortnight later at a party. I gave her my phone number, but she was too shy to call me, so a couple of weeks later yelled my number and then passed the receiver to Shirley. And the rest, as they say, is history." In time, George became godfather to the couple's 2 children. Daughter Harley is now 28 and runs her own media company. Roman is 25 and a radio DJ, who hosts the breakfast show on London's Capital Radio. "That man did so much for me in his life," says Martin. But he won't be drawn on George's untimely death. "I prefer to dwell on the happy memories, and there were many of them." So what first attracted Martin to Shirley? "I thought she was the funniest girl I'd ever met, and I still think that today. We'll have been married 30 years this November, and I couldn't live without her." Simple as that. People sometimes congratulate me on that achievement, but I don't see it like that. That's just how it is. But there's no doubt that the dark days of my brain tumors could have been make or break for our relationship. It was either going to force us apart or bring us closer together, and happily it was the latter. Fine, but show business is riddled with failed relationships. Temptation and high-pressure work often combining to undermine the strongest of marriages. "No, I don't see it like that," says Martin. When I go to work I just get on with the job, and I don't think the world of entertainment is different from any other. A bank manager is just as likely to have an affair with his secretary as an actor is with his leading lady. I enjoy what I do so much it would never occur to me to notice if someone was coming onto me, and when I'm done there's nothing I like better than putting the key in the front door and coming home to Shirley. Next up, professionally speaking, is a mini tour with the newly rejigged Spandau Ballet following lead singer Tony Hadley's announcement last year that he was going to go solo. That could have been the end of the band, but the opposite has happened. "I've never felt so energized," says Martin. "First, though, they had to find a new lead singer. We were auditioning people and then someone mentioned Ross William Wald and that was it. I'd appeared in the stage musical $1 Million Quartet with him when he played Elvis. I immediately knew he was who we were looking for. He brings a new energy, a rocky edge to the band. The result is that Spandau feels brand new again." In October we're going out on the road, including performing at the Eventim Apollo in Hammersmith, and then it's off to Milan and Madrid and other major European cities. So no hard feelings about Tony's departure? Absolutely not. I have every respect for what he wants to do. There was a difficult time in the 90s with the court case against Kray over royalties from our back catalog, but that has long been put to bed. If somebody wants to do something you shouldn't try to stop them. I wish him all the luck in the world and hope it works out for him. There's not even a hint of animosity. We're grown men now. I love him and I always will. Silly to ask, but retirement, presumably, is not a word in Martin's vocabulary? I don't think you ever do in this business. I'm doing something I love, so why would I ever want to stop? And Shirley likes it too. If I'm pottering around at home too much she complains I'm getting under her feet.